Well, a very good morning to you. It's good to see you on this Monday morning, and we apologize for starting late, but here we are ready for the show. Welcome. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and the show is Your World. So today we want to talk about something that I think almost all of us really should be aware of, and this is as far as parenting is concerned, but our focus today is on absenteeism, all right, as a parent, and the impact on your children, especially in their developing years or their developmental period, how this will impact them, and even going to the future into adulthood, how does this also impact their relationships. It's going to be an amazing conversation. You need to stick around until the end of the show, because as we all know, that parenting is one of the most researched areas in the field of social science. Well, this could be because raising a happy, healthy child is one of the most challenging jobs a parent can have, and also one of the most rewarding. However, finding that balance between being present and also being able to provide for the family is still a difficult challenge or position for so many, and this results into children feeling alone. So the question is, what impact does absentee parenting have on children? And like I said, we'll also focus on how this also impacts their relationships, and this is where they go into adulthood. So the question that we're asking you today, very, very simple, and that is, how would you describe yourself as a parent? All right, once again, how would you describe yourself as a parent? I can see a number of you have a lot to say, and this is on our social media pages at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter. And someone says, this is David Kitabi, very quickly to start with, says, always available, involved in every event, super dad. I really, really like that. All right, but how best would you describe yourself as a parent, especially now when we're trying to find that balance between providing for our children but at the same time being present? Because before we came on air, my director Jackie said presence over presence. Okay, I really, really like that. Something for you to think about. So let me introduce my guest for the day. We have Beatrice Mainge, who is a counseling psychologist. Good to have you, Dr. Beatrice. How are you doing this morning?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for having me.
Most welcome. And you look lovely on this Monday morning.
Thank you, thank you.
And of course, we're also hoping to have Ted Josiah, who is a parent, to also share his journey, his experience as well as a parent and a single dad at that. He's very, very present in his child's life, his baby girl. So we hope to get him at some point as we continue with the conversation. But for now, Beatrice, let's just start with understanding, first of all, parenting.
Yeah.
There's this conversation, not debate per se, but just conversation and phrase that people use, and that is, there's no manual for parenting. Yes. Right? So can we just first of all get to understand parenting? What exactly does that entail? What exactly does that involve? Is this just siring a child and then that's it? Or what exactly does that mean?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that question. And indeed, parenting, like you said, is a journey that when you undertake that journey, there is no manual, there is no training.
Mm-hmm. You learn on the job, literally.
You learn on the job, and children are different and their journeys are different. So it's about learning how to take care of that human being that you have brought into this world. Yeah. Understanding their needs and not letting go at any point. Yeah. Working with them, engaging with them, attaching to them, and having a bond with them, so that you understand what are the needs of this child. Because sometimes we confuse needs with wants. We may provide everything that this child needs, may provide the education, the housing and all that. But what are the needs of this student? Because at the end of the day, when we provide those needs of this human being to prepare them for the world, that is when we can say that we have done effective parenting. I like that.
Yeah. So then can we just understand at the basic level the needs of this child, of a child, doesn't matter who, because like you said, children have different needs.
Yes.
But I'm sure there's a basic fundamental need that every child has. So what exactly would you say that, so that then when we're looking at absenteeism, then we understand what exactly a child is missing from a basic foundational level?
Okay. Children, according to psychology, children grow in stages.
Okay.
And every stage of life has needs.
Okay.
And when parents understand that, then they're able to provide those needs at every stage.
Okay.
For example, a child who is newly born, they have been thrust into this world, a world with a lot of noise, a lot of lies, a lot of people saying, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl, and they are confused. Can I trust this world?
Okay.
And so the needs of that child is to build trust. And how do you build that trust? By building a bond with that child.
Okay.
And that's why you find that when a mother gives birth, they're encouraged to sleep in the same bed with the baby, to breastfeed, even if someone has gone through cesarean section. They're told, please try and hold your baby so that he or she can feel your warmth, and they can start feeling, oh, this is not such a bad place. At least there is someone who holds me, there's someone who loves me, there's someone who feeds me, there's someone who cuddles me. So the need for safety, so that you build trust at that stage.
Okay.
And then as they move on, they start growing up, the child now starts, exerting some independence, you want to toilet train, and so that is the stage when children become very dirty, because you see they're learning to crawl, they are soiling themselves,
touching things here,
touching
that
things
they're not supposed to.
Yes, and you see when they look at their brothers and sisters, they can see, oh, I look different. Why am I that? Why can't I stay clean? And so that stage, the child is asking, is it okay to be me? Is it okay to be how I am?
And most of the time, there's usually that, no, don't.
Yes.
You know, from the parents, don't touch this, don't do this, don't play in the mud, don't. There's a lot of don'ts.
Yes, yes.
At this stage.
Exactly.
And the child is like, do I experiment or do I not?
Yes.
Okay.
So they are wondering, why am I different?
Yeah.
So at that stage is where you teach them to trust themselves. Okay. Is it okay to be me? So the message you'll be communicating is that you are okay the way you are. You're just in a stage. Okay. So that stage is where a lot of patience is needed, because the child will be dirty. Actually, that is the stage where most children are abused, especially by the caregivers, because they are soiling themselves. They are making the house dirty, and so they'll be beaten. They'll be, So you trust them. Can I trust myself? Is it okay to be me? So at that stage, you are teaching them how to be independent. Okay. If that is not done, then they learn to be ashamed of themselves. Because at that stage, most parents or most caregivers will be telling them, you should be ashamed of yourself. Look at how dirty you are. So they learn to be ashamed of themselves. Okay. And as they grow on, then there is the preschool stage, where now they start competing with other children, and then they are wondering, will I ever make it in this world? Okay. And so that is the stage where a child needs a lot of affirmation. Okay. You need to tell them you are okay. Even when you're not number one, you're still okay. And even before that, we have the stage of about 3 to 5 years, when children are very inquisitive. We call it the stage of exploration. And they'll be asking a lot of questions. Why is this cat behaving like this? Daddy, what are you doing? How do you change a tire?
Oh, that dreaded question, where do babies come from?
Yes, where do babies come from? They ask a lot of questions, and a lot of patience is needed. Because at that stage is when you hear many parents saying, you are disturbing me. You are asking so many questions. Go and ask your mother. Go and ask your daddy. And we say that this child that you're telling to keep quiet at this time, at teenage, is the same child you'll be pleading with. Please talk to me.
Please talk to me.
Please talk to me. Because they learned to shut up in your presence. And again, if they're not getting the answers from you at that stage, at some point they will look for those answers.
Yeah, which might not necessarily be safe for them to get, some sort of like information from other sides. Okay, all right. And of course, this again goes into teenagehood and into adulthood.
Into young adulthood, yes.
Finding, independence, inquisitive, finding self, and all those things. But then again, so when, and all these stages are very fundamental, very, very critical stages. Yes. Where I want to believe a child would need their parent at every single stage. Yes. But to be honest, that is not always the case. And especially now, where everything is just everywhere, and parents are trying to find their footing, finding balance between being present and being able to provide. But at the same time, just being a parent,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about absenteeism, because that is the subject of our conversation today,
Yes.
what exactly does that mean? Because when you speak to so many parents, they'll tell you, listen, I don't feel I have enough time for my child. And there are others who are completely not there.
Yes.
So what exactly, or who would we say is an absentee parent?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. Because sometimes we confuse absenteeism with just not being there physically.
Okay.
And yes, it is true that there are parents who are absent because they are busy in their schedules, or maybe they don't really understand the need to create a bond with their children. Or maybe they don't understand how their absence is going to affect the children now and in the future.
Okay.
And sometimes we also think that when a parent is absent physically, then they're doing a worse job than the one who is there physically.
Okay.
And that's where the problem lies.
Right.
Because you can be present, but you're absent.
True.
What we talk about absenteeism today, but the other thing that we need to be concerned about is what we call presenteeism.
Okay.
Presenteeism is where you are present physically, but absent emotionally.
Okay.
You are not attached to the child, such that even all these needs that we have talked about, you are not aware of them. So yes, you are there with the children, they can touch you, but they cannot feel you.
Okay.
You are there, but you are not attending. You know, when you talk about attending, it means that you have a bond with those children. You are aware of their needs, and you are doing what is humanly possible to ensure that you meet those needs.
Okay.
Can I surprise you that you can have a parent who is away, maybe even working abroad, but because of how they have put up structures of how their children will be taken care of, they are doing a better job than a parent who is there physically and not attending.
Okay.
What we call existential vacuum.
Okay.
That you are there, yes, you can be seen,
but you're not there.
You're not there.
Okay. So then, so when you say, like, I mean, at what point then do you say that you're present?
Yes.
And I'm asking this because, again, like you're saying, it's true. There's some parents who maybe are deadbeats, right?
Yes.
And there's some who, again, due to different circumstances, maybe they're working abroad, maybe, you know, they travel a lot for work, maybe, you know, a lot of maybes.
Yes.
And there's some who, yes, are present, but they're not present.
Yes.
And there's some who are present. So at what point then do you say this parent is present? And present in the sense, like you're saying, physically, emotionally, but at the same time, you know, having that quality time with your child. Like, at what point then do you say, you know what, me, I'm a present? Like, what quantifies, I don't know if my question makes sense, like, what quantifies being present? Is it the fact that you're able to meet all the needs of your child, which we all know it's a bit difficult? Or what exactly, how do you quantify being present?
Okay.
Yeah.
Being present is being aware of the needs of this
Of the child.
Okay?
Okay.
And it's not about the quantity of time that you spend. It is the quality of time.
Okay.
Because we can talk about 5 A's of intentional parenting. Because when you're a parent, you need to ask yourself, what kind of human being do I want to see 18 years down the line? When you have a baby of maybe 1 year or 2 years, what kind of human being do I want to see 18 years down the line? And so you come back to the drawing board and, you know, try to do that what is humanly possible. Because like you have correctly put it, you cannot attain 100%.
No.
Because it's about balancing. It's about moderation. Ensuring that even when you spend time with your children, you are also ensuring that other engagements are not being ignored. So that you're also a balanced person at the end of the day. Okay? So children need about 5 A's. One of them is attention.
Attention. I'm going to write them down and then, okay. So attention is the first A.
What you're saying is that I have time for you. And that is when people talk about, you know, attending, you know, school events. You may not attend all of them, but ensuring that as humanly possible as it is, that you're making sure that you are not absent in some of those events. Remembering their birthdays, remembering their events, and being there physically, not, you know, sending money or anything. Meaning that, yes, I'm a doctor, I am a lawyer, I am a governor, but because you're my son, because you are my daughter, I have put all that aside to just come and watch you play your game in school. I have time for you.
Okay.
And so even when you're not there, children understand your schedules. And you'll even hear them telling their friends, my dad can't come. You know, they have this meeting today. But I know the next one he'll be there. So they understand your schedule. I have time for you. That's the first thing. Then approval.
Approval, okay.
Approval means I like what you do. And that's why we say that every time a child does something good, we must ensure that we acknowledge and we make them know that we have seen and we admire and we approve. I like what you do. You are number 15 last term. This time you are number 10. Well done.
Okay.
Approve. You approve. Because like we said, if, you know, we say that life abhors a vacuum. If you leave a vacuum, in that place you are supposed to be giving approval to your child, that a time will come when they will look for it.
That's true.
And it may come from places that you will not like. Then we have the A of admiration. Admiration.
Okay.
I can learn from you. And this is where parents are encouraged, like when you play with your child, let them win the game at some point. And tell them, oh, you beat me. You know, I admire you. I like what you do. And you see when they are operating their gadgets at some point, you ask them, how did you do that? Teach me how to do that. I can learn from you. And so they'll be telling the other children, you know, I'm the one who taught my mother how to operate.
How to do it.
I even taught my dad, you see. And so you're building confidence in them.
In the child.
You're building their self-esteem. Because there is a time when those skills will be required for them to negotiate life.
That's true.
When you're not there, you are in they're in the office, and no one is admiring what they do, but they're saying, you know, you have filled them with admiration, and they know even if no one notices. I know when I tell my dad, he'll give me a thumbs up. Admiration. Then we are talking about affirmation.
Oof, that's key.
I celebrate your presence, because remember we said that at the age of 1.5 to 3 years, when a child is being taught toilet trained, you know, they doubt themselves. They are looking at themselves, they're feeling dirty. Am I okay? Why am I different? Is it okay to be me? That's the question they are asking. And the parent is there telling them, you are okay. One day, you'll be clean just like your brother. You'll be able to go to the toilet. You'll be able to manage yourself. So acceptance means it is okay to be you. And I accept you the way you are. And you have my you have my support as you negotiate the stages. We are talking about affirmation, that I celebrate your existence. And then there is acceptance.
Acceptance is the last one.
Acceptance.
I mean, it's, and I think this is very important, because most of the time we find parents try to compare. You know, the child to another child and all those things, not accepting your child for who they are and supporting them. Where they need, in terms of, you know, I accept you for who you are, and I support you, you know, even as you navigate, you know, being a child, teenagehood, and even adulthood. All right, I see that, and these are very, very important aspects as far as raising a child. And again, like we said, you might not be there 100% all the time physically, but if all these areas are sort of like tended to, the fact that you're not there physically, they know and they understand. And children are very bright right now. They'll tell you, yes, like you said, mommy is not here today because they had to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they know that when you have that time, you spend quality time with them. Okay, can we briefly talk about emotional, because we're supposed to go on a break. I'm not too sure if it will be enough for like a minute to talk about emotional presence as well, because again, like we said, it's not you know, just physical, but also has to be emotional and psychological. I'm pretty sure you'll not be able to say that in a minute because it's a long time. There's a lot to also talk about this here, because most of the time we find a lot of parents and children, you know, discharged emotionally. They're physically physically, but not there emotionally. So I think let's just pick up from there after the break.
Okay.
And then we'll also talk about then the impact of absenteeism in a parent, and of course how this also impacts a child's life, even as they grow up into adulthood and their relationships as well. So keep sending in your views as far as the question that we're asking you, and that is, how best would you describe yourself as a parent? All right, present, absent, presentism, like Dr. Beatrice said. We'll also go through your feedback after the break. Stay with us. This is Your World.
The Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, NUPEA, is a state corporation under the Ministry of Energy mandated with the development of nuclear power program for electricity generation in Kenya, carrying out research and development of energy technologies and capacity building for the energy sector. To this end, NUPEA coordinates all relevant nuclear infrastructure in the country. For more information, log on to our website and follow us on our social media handles.
Please welcome our brilliant neurosurgeon, our superstar, Anastasia Streletsky. A round of applause for her, please. Who operated on him?
Does it really matter which doctor arrived?
Yes, it does. Do you realize you're in trouble now?
Mikhailo Vladenko and your other relatives must be happy to know that you're back in the city right now. Vasily is back in the city. Your brother is now the chief of the crime investigation unit.
Stop!
It means the end for me and my business.
He wouldn't dare.
Hands up!
Come on, it's all over. Let's go.
I'm sorry, but it's my wedding. I'm getting married.
We made a mistake.
She will change.
It's more likely she'll change you.
Pesa ambazo zinakuja kwa counties hazitoshi. Mambo ya afya, mambo ya maji, mambo ya library, mambo ya mabarabara ndogo ndogo, mambo ya kilimo. Haya yote ni kazi ya counties. Na pia hata serikali kuu yenyewe imesema kwamba tuko na bottom up economic model. Bottom up ni wapi? Si ni kwa magatuzi.
Kweli? Maandamano haya yamekuwa katika kaunti mbalimbali. Sijui kama hapa Baringo kumekuwa na maandamano ya kupinga hali ya uchumi na gharama ya juu ya maisha.
Hapa ni Kenya Kwanza bwana. Kenya Kwanza haiwezi pinga serikali yake.
Lakini wanasema pia uchumi umepanda kila kaunti. Hapa haujapanda.
Uchumi umepanda kila mahali.
Wanasema kuna harufu hivi ya handshake kati ya Rais William Ruto na Raila Odinga. Handshake ikiwa uko sawa, ama pia wewe utaingiwa na tumbo joto gavana?
Tumbo joto na nini? Kwanza mimi niko na kaunti yangu naongoza hapa hivi.
Centum Real Estate offers you an opportunity to own a home at the Two Rivers development. Mzizi Court residents, talk to us today on 0703 262626 or text 2 Rivers to 22365.
All right, welcome back. The show is Your World, and just in case you're tuning in right now, today our focus is on parenting, and to be specific, on absenteeism, parental absenteeism, all right? And we're focusing on the impact that it has on children. And before we went on a break, of course, Dr. Beatrice was taking us through some of the, basic fundamental needs of a child, all right? It doesn't matter who the child is, their social class, there is very basic fundamental needs of a child. And we talked about 5 A's: attention, approval, admiration, affirmation, and acceptance as well. But remember the question that we're asking you, very, very simple question, and that is, how would you describe yourself as a parent, all right? How best would you describe yourself as a parent? Very quickly, Lodrin Owiso on Facebook says, I am a very hardworking and responsible parent. George Gosho says, Niko tu hapo. All right, Christine Mimi says, responsible, hardworking, and loving mother to my family. There's one comment that yes. So Jackie Mom J&J says, where parenting has no manual, what's important is I am there for my children any time of the day or night. May God give me a long life so I can watch them grow into successful young men. I like that. All right, and then there's also one particular comment that I'm looking for. Kennedy Wanga, who says, to me, being a parent means to be fearless, to be a positive role model, to be a continuous cheerleader for every milestone my child will experience, to demonstrate the abundance of unconditional love that has no end, to cherish countless memories that is truly prices. I really, really love your feedback this morning, all right? But keep sending them on our way at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter. You want to call in live and also describe yourself as a parent. Would love to hear your voice. So our lines are open. Feel free to also, do the same. Use our lines. But Ted has finally joined us from Parental Duties. Ted Josiah, who is a parent. And again, we all know Ted. He's very, very vocal about, his role as a parent to his very, very beautiful, beautiful baby Jamila Wendo. So that is Ted. Hey, Ted, it's good to have you this morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. What happened? Parental duties?
Yes, I had to drop her off at school. I am the school bus, so I do every day. I have to make sure that I drop her off at school. And today we woke up slightly unwell, so it took longer than usual. But I apologize about that.
No problem, no problem. You made time.
Yeah,
you made
it's
time.
the day in the life of a parent. That is the day in the life of a parent. Yes,
I like that. And I mean, like I said, we all know you. You're very vocal about your role as a parent. In your child's life, and you had to take on this very, very strongly. And this is after the death of your wife again in 2017. May she continue to rest in eternal peace. And if there's one thing that I have read from one of your posts on social media, one of the things that you said is raising a child from infancy is tough, especially if you are walking the journey alone. Having to find new path and raising, a startup business like yours, Joka Jok, has been like raising 2 babies at the same time, and the responsibility starts and stops with you. Very, very profound. But I'm just going to ask you a simple question that we're asking our viewers today, and that is, we know you from your social media and how you talk about parenting, but really, how would you describe yourself as a parent and taking on this journey? How has it been for you?
I would describe myself as the most useless, absolute useless parent. I am learning on the job. I cannot say I have any 5-star badge of honor or anything. It's literally every single day. As you go, you realize that your child's character is developing, morphing into something different. They need.
Oh, Ted, we seem to have a bit of a. Okay, yeah, we have you back. Yes. Okay. All right. I mean, Dr. Beatrice, very quickly, we talk about absenteeism before we go back to Ted. Absenteeism, and how do you quantify when we say someone is present? But let's talk about how then this impacts the fact that a parent is not able to be there all the time. and provide all those things that we mentioned that are very, very basic for a child to have. So then how does this impact their life? And even as they grow into adulthood, how does being absent impact a child's life?
Okay, one of the things that we mentioned is about the needs of a child at every stage.
Okay.
And we said that being present as a parent is just being aware what are the needs.
Okay.
That this child needs affirmation. This child needs, and making sure that you do that to make sure that you fill that gap. But if that is not being done, then there's a vacuum. And like we say that life abhors a vacuum. And as these children grow, they'll be looking for like the affirmation. And that is when you find like children, when they start using, substances, and their peers are telling them, well done, you're good. The affirmation for the first, they get addicted to that.
I see that.
There'll be issues of peer pressure.
Yes.
And then you can produce people who are going to be absentee parents in future. Because we say monkey see, monkey do.
I see that. Okay, I'm curious to hear. Because Ted said, described himself as the most, you said what, useless parent, Ted, because I don't know if you can hear me, Ted. Yes.
Learning on the job.
Yes, you said, you literally learn on the job, which is like a similar thing to so many parents who you don't know what you're doing, but you have to do what you have to do as a parent. So I wonder, what is the most difficult part? Because like you said, you're learning on the job. There's literally no manual. So what has been the most difficult part of raising your girl as a single dad?
The most difficult part has been that she's a girl, and she's going into her emotions. She's beginning to understand and learn who she is. And I'm a man. So sometimes I might be a bit curt or cut her off when she's trying to express herself emotionally. So I have to hold myself back and remember that this is a girl that you're raising. She needs something different from the way a man would, raise a boy. And that is tough. Also, sometimes boundaries. She assumes that we're just friends. I'm not her parent. She doesn't know the fact that this is my dad or anything. She looks at me, I think sometimes as just another mate. So she tends to cross the boundaries, and I have to discipline so that she understands the role that a parent plays in her life, and the fact that sometimes dad can say, it's time for bed, and he's serious. It's not a joke. Because, when you're raising a child alone, they grow up understanding that only they exist. So they don't have other people to look at, other siblings to look at and say, oh, this is how I'm supposed to respond to this human. They are creating a relationship with you that is brand new, and literally they're creating it on their terms. You also have to create a relationship with them on your terms and nurture. Now, I'm not really a big fan of disciplining hard. I believe that if you speak to a child, the child is in a position to be able to understand. Now, discipline, again, is another thing. Do you discipline the way you were disciplined? Do you just, because you are caught outside playing Bano one day and your father had told you not to go outside, do you have a flashback and all of a sudden you want to whip the living daylights out of your child because the living daylights were whipped out of you? There's a lot of those things that you have to, I don't know, it's a journey that you really have to call yourself for meetings consistently, because as they grow, they need a different version of you.
Oh, I see that. And that's, we'll pick up from there, Beatrice, but very quickly, and that is different versions of a parent that a child needs at every single stage.
Yes.
And what exactly does that look like? But Ted, again, for you decided to take up this role, and in terms of being present, fully present for your child ever since. My biggest question is, why was this so important to you? Because honestly, you could seek help, and that is have someone come and help you raise your child, but you decided to take up that role and alone, and do that alone from, I mean, when she was literally young up until now. She started school last year. So why was it so important to you?
It was important to me because Jamila was a very unintentional child. We had planned to have this child. She wasn't, oops, I'm pregnant. I decided personally that I'm going to make sure that I walk this journey, come what may, even if it means I have to change my career. Now, a lot of you know me as a music producer, and I had been a music producer for years. But when Jamila came, I had to do a 360 turnaround of my entire career. Look for something that will keep me more grounded, more at home, something where I can work from home so that I can raise the child. I can be in the child's, life more consistently, as opposed to, being a music producer and being on the road all the time. That would have meant that then I have to, either employ somebody who's going to stay with the child, and then you can do that. That's great. But who's raising your child, and how are they raising your child? Are they raising them in the best manner, or do you want to actually do a career change and shift gears down? Are you ready for that? Those are conversations that are tough to have because I equate it like this. As soon as you decide that you are going to bear fruit, you must dig your roots. So you become a tree, you become planted in one spot. You can't move anymore. And for a lot of us, we are, by nature, we don't like the words, I've planted roots down. People like to be able to, hop up and down and move about and, live their lives as they were. But children, you will find that they are a journey where you must commit. You must commit, and you must have a conversation with yourself to ask yourself, am I willing to change my entire life for this human? And what sacrifices am I going to have to make? They're actually not sacrifices, because you're bearing fruit. When a tree is bearing fruit, it's not going to say that I am sacrificing my leaves. It doesn't say that. I think human beings are the only ones who think, am I ready to sacrifice for another human being? If you're asking yourself that question in that angle, that means that you're not ready to have children.
Oh, wow.
When you are intentional, and I'll repeat again, when you are intentional, I want to have children, I am ready for this journey. That enables you to move very different. Now, my journey with Jamila started way before she was conceived, but the actual journey began when she was 3 months old, and her mom passed away, unfortunately, in the middle of the night. That threw me in a hole, literally, because you're mourning the loss of somebody you really love. You're trying also to make sure that the child does not see that you're mourning, does not see you cry, but when they wake up in the morning, they see you with a big smile. So it was a journey of healing as I try and raise a child as well. She's 6 years now. Thankfully, all has gone well so far. And I don't know, it's still a journey of every single day I'm learning something new about the child, and she's learning something new about Dad.
Yeah, I see that. I see that because again, I was about to ask you the fact that you had to sort of like change your journey in terms of your career and all those things, just to make sure that then you're present fully for your child. Did you feel like you're sort of like missing out, you're putting your life sort of like on pause for a second because this person needs you and needs your attention throughout? But I think really answered that and said, listen, the intention, once the intention is there, then there's no other excuse.
I'll tell you this. I know a lot of people use that term, I'll put my life on hold until the children are grown, then I can go back to my life.
Yeah.
I had Jamila when I was 47 years old. I'm now turning 53. Which life am I putting on hold?
It continues.
By the time she's 21.
Yeah.
I normally joke with her and I tell her by the time she's 21, I am retiring from the business actively. She's taking over and I am going to Zanzibar to live on a beach, and she'll be having to bail me out from stupid criminal activities like selling fish on the beach,
Okay.
But that's it. You know, you don't put your life on hold. You look for other purposes, because God does not call you to one purpose in life.
That's
God
true.
calls you to several chapters in your life. Don't get caught in, but chapter 3 was really great. Can I go back to chapter 3? No.
Yeah.
God calls you to so many things, and you have to be open-minded to the journey that God's taking you through.
I like that. I really, really like that. All right. Dr. Beatrice, again, so we talked about the impact of being absent.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about self-esteem. They're trying to discover themselves, but then that is not there. This impacts on their self-image and even their relationship with the others, because they did not get this from home.
Yes.
There's some parents who are watching us this morning and saying, listen, but this is my child. I want to be there for them throughout. I want to be there, but I can't, because there's also this other side of life where Ted is saying, listen, you cannot put your life on hold because this child is also looking up to you to provide for them. So then how do you find that balance? Because again, at the end of the day, we're human. We will lack in this area, we'll be strong in this area, and I can only imagine for parents what that is like. So then how do you find that balance?
Yes, and I like what Ted has said, that it's about being intentional.
Okay.
And the unfortunate thing about parenting is that you cannot delegate parenting. You cannot delegate. You can only abdicate.
Yeah.
Because if you say, I'm not there, then you are abdicating your responsibility. So it's about striking a balance. And we understand, yes, that there are some jobs that are very demanding.
That's true.
And someone has good intentions about their children. So what structures then have you put in place to ensure that the needs of your child are being met? Are you in contact with these children? Because remember, we say that being absent means that you're not engaged. It means that you have not bonded with your children. So the little time that you have to be with your children, are you making a good, you know, is it quality time? Are you ensuring that you are spending quality time with your children when it is available? And then are you in communication so that children understand that this is the work that my father does. This is the work that my mother does. So they, you know, they understand what you're doing. They understand that you cannot be them all the time, but you create time for that. And then you have put structures in place. Because what happens is that you may not be there for your children, but maybe even the structures that are there are not working. Maybe the people who are taking care of them are neglectful, and that is where the problem lies. So putting structures that ensure that the needs of these children are being met, and then regardless of where you are, ensuring that you're in contact with the children. Like when you talk about affirmation, you have been told that they came home with a good report. You are calling from London, you are calling from wherever and telling them, well done, my son, when I come we shall have a celebration about this. So you are affirming them. And I think the good thing is to just make parents aware of these needs of children at every stage. Because much as you may not score 100%, if you ensure you are aware of them and you're doing what is humanly possible, that small baby, you are hugging them, you're holding them, they are feeling protected. This young child, you are encouraging them, you are affirming them, you are ensuring that you celebrate the little successes that they have. When they come home and they are sad, you are validating their emotions so that they know that there are times when people are sad, there are times when people are
happy.
You know.
And most of the time you'd find that a lot of parents say, but my child is too young, they will not even remember these things. They don't know these things. Until maybe they're in their teenagehood years, that is when they'll notice that I am not there. But that is not the case, because even from the womb, they know whether you're there or not. So let's not say, they're too young, they don't understand. And something else that Ted mentioned, and that is being a different version of yourself as a parent at different stages of your child's life, because most parents are still holding on to the, you know, the version they were when the child was, you know, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and these are like teenagers, and you know, and they still need to see you in a different way. We'll come back to you to answer that. But Ted, for you, I mean, in a different setting, you'd find that there's a good cop and there's a bad cop. But in this case, you're supposed to be all of that. and still be Ted who has a career, still be Ted who is an entrepreneur, still be Ted as a parent. So what is your greatest fear as a parent now? Because like you said, you literally are learning on the job. Sometimes, you know, there's a boundary issue here and there. So what is your greatest fear, and what are you doing to sort of try and balance that? I know now you've had some sort of balance, raising the two.
There's never balance.
There's never balance. There's no.
I don't think there's ever balance. Yeah. As soon as you think that there's balance, the child then wants to learn how to ride the bicycle, and you have clients hitting your phone up 24/7.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, shall I teach her how to ride the bike, or am I going to, speak to these clients right now?
Yeah.
And yes, I need this money to buy this bicycle, so I need to speak to these clients,
True,
There's never balance. But my biggest fear is this, and I ask myself this consistently. Am I raising her in the way that her mother would have wanted her to be raised?
Ooh.
Sorry, I get emotional when I think about it. Am I doing the things that her mom would have wanted me to do for her? Because she had dreams, goals, and ambitions for this child. And also, am I doing right by her as a child? And watching her sometimes alone in the compound, just, in her head or on her scooter, I wonder what's going on through her mind, because she doesn't have anybody to talk to, apart from me and maybe the nanny. And are there things that she'd rather tell her peers? And how do I connect with people who have children of the same age, who sort of are going through the same journey, so that the children can have a play group? Because I'll tell you this, and as a man, it's very difficult, because when you go to these play groups and you're a single dad, it is what it is, people are going to look at you sometimes as a target, because you're raising a child, and they're thinking, oh, well, he's such a good dad, so how about I try and make a play for him? And you're not in that headspace. You would, yes, relationships are great, but possibly you just want other children to be able to interact with your child. So the advantage she has is that she looks forward to going to school a lot, because then she gets to interact with her peers and play with people who are, her age mates. So those are a bit of my fears. But
can I just throw?
I think every single parent asks, "Am I doing right by my child?"
That's true. We literally have to end the show like now. I know Jackie is like, "Oh, you need to get out," but I just gonna throw it as one of the things, and that is, ever considered bringing someone else in? And is that one of your fears, that if you bring someone else in, they will not be able to raise a child based on the way you want them to be raised, or you feel sort of like your attention will be taken away from raising a child very quickly? Is that one of the fears that you also have sometimes maybe considered?
Every parent who's going this journey alone has the same fear. If I bring somebody in, are they going to take my place? One. Are they going to raise my child the way I would like my child to be raised? Are we going to be able to walk in harmony? Because they're jumping in from a position, not from inception, which is very, very different. And then everybody has the fears of stepmom and stepdad. Is the stepmom going to do right by the child? Is the stepdad going to do right by the child? It's up to God and what his plans are in the long run. Obviously, everybody would like to, enjoy Valentine's with somebody special. Everybody would love to have somebody, loving them. And because you don't want also to show your child that walking a journey in life alone is good, because then you're raising a very fierce, self-independent human who might then become very destructive in society, because they don't know how to to cleave to other people, and it's important.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. So Ted, as we end the show, I wonder what your advice would be in terms of making it work, walking this journey alone, but making sure that you are there in all aspects, but at the same time also just living with that fear that, am I raising my child well? And for your case, like you said, you tend to ask, are you raising your child based on how her mom would want her to be raised? So what is it that you will tell other parents who are watching us this morning and thinking, hey, yeah, I don't know how? What would you say very quickly?
You will fail. You will fail royally.
Yeah.
It is okay to fail.
Yeah.
Nobody comes out of parenthood with 100% pass, ever. All we can do is be as intentional as possible. So when you make time, make sure that you're in the present moment. If you're a nursing mother, do not nurse your child whilst you're on your telephone, because when you look down, you realize that your child is trying to make eye contact and creating a bond with you. If you are a father in the present, don't be playing football with your mobile phone in your hand. Make sure that you are intentional and you're bonding with this human, because that bond is spiritual, it's subliminal, and it's not always just about verbal. It's about emotional and a lot of things, and they need this. They need to understand how human beings bond. They see how human beings bond through us. So we have to be that guide, but also trust God, because trust me, there's no blueprint, and you cannot say I'm an excellent parent. Nobody's an excellent parent. The Almighty is the only one who's the excellent parent.
I like that. Thank you so much, Ted, really, for that. That's very, very profound. And Dr. Beatrice, literally in like 30 seconds, making it work, breaking the cycle, because most of our parents probably who are watching us and thinking, but I missed a lot in my child's life. How do you make it work? How do we break that cycle and decide to be intentional and be present in all aspects? 30 seconds, very quickly.
So thank you. I think there's something we call homeostasis, meaning that you understand the needs of your child and you're present. Can you notice when your child has started changing? Can you notice when their eyes are starting to get red? Can you notice when they're starting to lose weight? Being present means that you are emotionally attached, not emotionally unavailable. And those are the issues that we are seeing at even in rehabilitation centers, like where I work at Nobility House Treatment Center, you find that the issues of childhood experiences, they crop up in prisons, they crop up in rehabilitation centers. People talking about a father who was absent, a mother who was absent, what we call a cold mother syndrome, or an absent father syndrome. So being aware of the needs of children and doing what is humanly possible to ensure that you bond, that there is attachment with those children, so that you don't leave a gap that will make them clingy, that will make them form relationships that are unattached even in their marriages. So you're asking yourself, do I want a child who is resilient, who is optimistic, who has high self-esteem? So what do? You go back to the drawing board to say, this is what I want to do to have this teenager succeed 18 years down the line.
And I really, really like that. Look at the future and then draw back. I really, really like that. And we should have another conversation in terms of like detachment and how that's, has impacted a child. But for now, allow us to say goodbye. I know this conversation would have it for a longer period. But Ted Josiah, parent, joining us this morning via Zoom and sharing, his journey as far as being a parent, a single dad at that matter. And Dr. Beatrice Mainge, counseling psychologist. Thank you so much to both of you. Such an insightful and very rich conversation. And we'll continue with the same. But for now, my name is Winnie Lubembe. Have yourselves a lovely day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on Your World. Stay safe. Goodbye.